and welcome to the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. This is my place to talk about all of the knitting and crochet things that I've been up to over the last few weeks. My name is Ali and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Starry Eyes Ali, and also I vlog at the moment every single day because I'm doing daily vlogs throughout April over on my other channel, which is This Little Wonderful Life. Today is Sunday. It is now about 20 to 3 in the afternoon, and this is going to be the second time I have filmed this entire podcast because I filmed it, I tidied it all away, I made some lunch, I went downstairs to edit and realised that my settings, I'd somehow messed with the ISO settings and everything was really grainy and blurry. It took me about 45 minutes to work out what I'd done, and the only option is to refilm it because it just wasn't good quality enough. So here we are. I'm going to need a glass of wine tonight, let's put it that way. I have no finished objects because, so last time I saw you, I think I promised I would be back very soon with a video all about my craft books collection. I haven't done that, and I am not back as soon as I wanted to be, even with a podcast, because we entered birthday season. And yeah, it was Dan's birthday, my eldest daughter turned 16, it was my mum's birthday, friends, family, my birthday's in a week, and I just got completely sucked in, mainly to all the preparations for my daughter's 16th birthday. But she had a great time, she is now 16. I can't quite believe I'm the mother of a 16-year-old, and we've also had some house issues as well, with water leaking in various places, which is really annoying because it's all happened in our bedroom, which we only just decorated. But I'm not going to start ranting about that. Anything else to say? Yes, all of the notes about everything I talk about, links and chapter things so you can jump about to anything you want to find, again, are in the description box underneath. I try to include everything I think you might need to find. And I think that's it. I have no finished objects, as I've said. So instead, because I would normally start with finished objects, I'm going to start by telling you a piece of exciting news, which is the Dodgy Bag Make-Along is back for 2022. Yes, we've been doing this now for I think 4 or 5 years. Me and the beautiful Claudia from the Crochet Luna podcast will be running the Dodgy Bag MAL 2022 from the 1st of May until the 5th of June. And the idea, if you haven't joined in before, is that you get stuck into sewing a bag. And if you think you can't, and you've always wanted to try, to just give it a go, embrace the dodginess, ignore the imperfections, and realise it's the process of making it for yourself that's the fun thing. Dust off your sewing machine or dig out your hand sewing stuff. I have 3 tutorials on this channel, which I will link underneath. Really basic beginner tutorials for sewing a handmade bag. A drawstring one with a box bottom, a zipped bag with a box bottom, and a completely simple, no box bottom required drawstring bag. If I can do it, if I can make a tutorial about it, anybody can do it, and it's so much fun. It's always a really chatty make along. People are so helpful. We're going to have one Ravelry thread in my group and the Instagram hashtag. Claudia will draw a prize from Instagram at the end, and I will draw a prize from the group. I haven't decided what that prize is yet, but I have things and I will reveal that next time. So all the information, all the links, everything you need to know is in the description box underneath. I have got a couple of bags I need to make. I've got one person I owe a bag that I have been promising to do for a long time. You know who you are. I'm very sorry you've had to wait so long. I've got one I need to make as a prize. I've got some bags cut out that are just waiting to be sewed up, so I want to get those done. And I want to make some little holders for separating out my sheets, so I know what are single sheets and what are king size and so on. That's my plan. But as we all know, my plans don't always actually come to fruition, so let's just see what happens. Also, in place of having finished objects, if you stick with me a bit later, I have got some very radical blasts from the past. Just wait and see. But first I think we'll get stuck in with works in progress. Oh, I can't believe I'm having to do this again. Well, it's fun because it means I get to talk about everything again. But there was a lot of putting things on and balancing on the stool I'm sitting on and everything. I'm gonna have to go through all that again. Right, let's start with my ranunculus. Okay, so I really wanted to have this finished for today, and I'm so close, and I didn't finish it because I'm useless. This is my beautiful bag. It was a gift from my lovely friend Ali, and it was made by my lovely friend Rachel, who is so Raimi. She's got a beautiful Etsy shop and a beautiful Instagram feed. Well, I'm going to check her out when I've got my crochet queen pin here. It's not a crochet project that's inside it. It's a knitting project which has just fallen onto the floor. I shall retrieve it. Oh, this cup, just sun came out just then, just as I lifted this up. It was almost like, ah, ranunculus. So this is the ranunculus sweater. It's a pattern by Midori Hirose, from if my memory serves me correctly, because I don't have the pattern in front of me. I've left it downstairs. And the yarn I am using, which is now tangled around my legs, oh goodness, is by Bunham Yarns in the colour Crazy Rich, and it's about 350 metres to 100 grams, which I think makes it a sport weight. I got gauge with a 6mm needle, but I went down to a 5.5 because I was really worried from the pictures in the pattern it was going to be absolutely gigantic, and through complete luck rather than judgment, it's turned out to be the perfect size. I am so happy with this. But as you can see, I'm so close to finishing. I've just got this amount of the second sleeve to do. I've done my sleeves kind of like 3/4 length. And oh, if I just put a bit of effort into it, I would have got it done. But I've had so many other things dragging me off in other directions with my time. I know it looks really short, but actually once it's blocked, it will come down to just where I want it, just on my hip, not above my hip, not below my hip, just straight on my hip, which is exactly where I wanted it. And I'm really pleased with this. I was given this pattern as a gift by a very kind viewer of this podcast. Thank you. She knew me better than I knew myself, because at the time I was like, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to make that. And now I've made it, I know what all the fuss is about, because this truly is a joy to work on. Such a lovely pattern, and I really like how it's come out. I went for, by the way, for the wider neck. There were two options for the neck. I went for the wider one. And since I've had this pattern, the designer has updated it. So it used to be just one size, and she's now included a whole range of sizes. So that's absolutely brilliant. So it opens it up really to many more people to be able to knit, and it's such a simple knit. It's lovely, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I tend to shy away from popular patterns. I'm like, oh no, if it's popular I shan't make it like in a really snobby, judgy way. And you know, things are popular for a reason, aren't they? Usually because they're pretty good. And yeah, I promise not to be such a princess about things in the future, because this has been a joy, and I've only missed out on it because of my own silliness. And I would definitely make another one of these. Definitely. I can't recommend it more. Have I got anything else to say on that? No. I'm just really annoyed that I didn't finish it. Hopefully, by the time I finished it next time, it'll probably be too warm to wear it, but I still will. I will sweat my way through the podcast. Right, let's shove this back in here. The other work in progress that I've been putting a bit of time into over the past couple of weeks is the blanket that I'm making for Phoebe. Now, I'm a bit embarrassed to hold this up, not because of the project, but because it's living in a plastic bag. I have got more project bags than it is possible for one person to have, and they're all beautiful. Yet I am keeping it in a plastic bag with holes in it. It was because it needed moving, because I needed the project bag it was in for another thing, and I couldn't be bothered going to get another one. And then I thought, well, if I keep it out in this plastic bag, I want to work on it more because I want to get rid of the plastic bag. I understand my reasoning. I'm using an Aran weight cotton, sparkly cotton, for this project. It was a gift from a lovely friend of this podcast quite a few years ago now, and it was for Phoebe, and the colour is called Phoebe Sparkles on a Stormy Day. There were some balls called Phoebe Sparkles on an Even Stormier Day because they were slightly darker. So I've got slightly different colourways of this die. Isn't that lovely? So it's an Aran weight, so that ball looks ginormous, but you've got to bear in mind that is quite a thick yarn. And I've put in quite a lot of work on this. So here we go. I'm going to have to stand on the stool again. I've done this once already this morning. So you can see the colour change. I'm working on a slightly lighter one here, and then there's a darker bit in the middle. And then you see the lighter one again where I began. And I really like how it switches and changes. I didn't do anything to make a pattern out of the different yarns. I just added them in. Did I say it's going to be for Phoebe? I think I did. So it's going to be for Phoebe because obviously the yarn was for her, and I wanted to make something that she could take through her life with her really. And my original plan was, why is there a square on my face? So you can't see a square on my face, but I can. I'm just hoping I'm in focus and everything's okay. I'm completely paranoid that I'm going to go and try and edit this. It's all going to be out of focus again. Oh well, fingers crossed, we'll stick with it. I can't film it a third time. I just have to apologise if this is in terrible focus. I hope it's not. Yeah, so I wanted to make something she could take with her throughout her life. My original thought was to make a bear, but I thought, well, she's going to grow out of a bear, isn't she? Then it's just going to become clutter for her. So I thought a blanket is something she'll always have a use for, even when she's older, if she wants to shove it in the back of the car or something, you know. A blanket is always useful, and because it's this heavy cotton, it's a really weighty blanket, and there's something about a weighty blanket that's so comforting, isn't it? So I'm really pleased with it. I'm really pleased. I think it's going to be just the right amount of yarn. I want it to be a big lap size. It's already a good lap size blanket, but I want to make it slightly longer. And then by the time I've done that, I've got this amount of yarn, only a couple of rows worth really. Of the ball I'm working from. Then I'll do a few more rows to make it a bit longer, and then I think I'm going to do at least one row of a border around it and call it finished. The idea is to just use up that entire yarn and then it's all hers. The pattern, I haven't said, is a free pattern. It's called the Neat Ripple. It is by the wonderful Attic24, who basically taught me how to crochet when I first started years ago now. Over 10 years ago I learnt to crochet, and it's such a calming, lovely, easy pattern. I've made loads of them over the years. The girls have each already got one. I've made them as gifts, and yeah, it's a fantastic pattern. The Neat Ripple. And that is Phoebe's crochet blanket. I will put it back in its plastic bag. And I am using for that, where is it? The hook. Oh no. I'm using a yellow hook which has now gone missing. It was there when I filmed the first podcast. I'll probably find it in the freezer or something later. I've probably done something nonsensical with it the way this day is going. My next work in progress that I want to share with you is quite fabulous. Now, this is a gift for Lilia, and it was intended to be given to her for her 16th birthday, which was on the 31st of March. It wasn't finished. I always give the girls something handmade for their birthday. However, she did have a very special video, compiled of video messages, photographs and other bits and bobs that I made her, and I also knit her 2 hats. So she did have plenty of, you know, mum-made things. But the dress wasn't ready. She still hasn't seen it. She knows it's being made. And we've tried it on her, we blindfolded her and tried it on. So I know that the size is spot on. I could not be happier with the size. And what I did earlier, I'm going to keep referring to when I filmed this before, is I put it on and it was ridiculous. And I looked ridiculous, and I remember thinking, oh, I am a ridiculous human being. And I'm going to do it again anyway. To give you an idea, because when I hold it up just like this, you can't really make it out. So I'm putting it on. Give the neighbours opposite who are out cleaning their cars something to talk about. So, obviously, you don't wear it with a jumper underneath. Okay. Right. Okay, so do you know what would be handy to show you first? This is, the pattern is called the Mystique dress. It's by Hook Loops, and I know this is how it looks when you make it as a top, and you can see there's several ways there that you can wear it. And this ruffle bit that's underneath the bust, you just knit that as long as you want, so you can stop there and make it a top, or you can keep going and make it a dress. And you can choose to have it very ruffled, or you can choose to make it slightly less ruffled. So you need to know that before I show you. So I've done the bust part, and then the straps are what I'm working on at the moment. So what will happen with the straps is they will, what have I done? They will crisscross at the back. They will go through eyelets at the side here, and then they will come back round and tie in a bow here, if that makes sense. And then this part I'm going to keep knitting, crocheting until it becomes the dress part. This bit at the front is worn quite low, so yeah, so literally, you know, almost like the cleavage goes right down to the under bust line, and that is because she's going to be wearing it with a shirt underneath, and she wants it in the same kind of colours and style as a version she saw on Instagram made by the Silver Knot. If you look at the Silver Knot's Instagram, you'll see her version, and it's absolutely stunning what she's done. The colours she's used, the way she styled it, the border she's done, and it's fantastic. So I'm using this peachy coloured yarn, which is oh look, here's the hook that I couldn't find for my blanket. All's well that ends well. Shaken Maya Catania, and the peach is colour 00296, and this dusky pink colour is colour 00246. And if I hold them up together, you'll see how pretty they are. So the pink is going to come in towards the lower half of the dress. So you can see they look so pretty together, those colours. They're really going to suit her. And so the designer is Hook Loops. Her name is May. I believe she's based in the Philippines. And the pattern I bought from her Etsy shop. And I did struggle a little bit when I started. I had trouble following the instructions just because it's written in a different way to the patterns I'm used to. But it's a really good pattern, and the designer, when I messaged her for help, was so helpful. She got back to me so quickly, she was so patient, she answered my questions, and she got me started. And you can't ask for more really, can you? She was fantastic. I've just managed to unravel a ton of stitches from the straps now. Just going to put this back together a bit and untangle everything. Get it safely back in the bag. So my intention now is to work the straps, because I've got balls of yarn attached to both straps. Because in order to get the right length and to make sure it was fitting, I kind of had to make the straps. So now that I know it is fitting her, I'm going to do the straps, but I'm going to make them too long. They're really simple to do and really quick. So it's no hardship or waste of time to do that. I'm going to make the straps too long and then bind them off to stop them unravelling. So I'm absolutely wound up in this yarn. And then I can go back and just work the skirt until it's the right length, and then try it on her, and then I'll be able to do the border and the eyelets and everything like that. But now that I know, sorry, I'm so busy faffing about. Now that I know I'm on the right track, that it's fitting her, that I've got a plan, I feel really good about it. There was a point where I was like, oh, I've no idea if this is even going to work, it's going to be terrible. But now I feel really confident about it. So this is a high priority item. I think what I'd like to do by the time I speak to you next is I'd like to have this almost finished, I'd like to have the blanket finished, and I'd like to have my ranunculus finished. Let's see where we are, shall we? I have two other works in progress here, which I'm not really going to show you. I'm just going to flash it at you. In my lovely bag here by Dawn's Days. She's Dawn's Days when she blogs about her life in the Netherlands, or her knitting podcast. Her knitting channel is The Woven Almanac. And in here I have some Shorty Socks. So I made myself some socks with some yarn that was a gift from my friend Becky. We met up at Christmas. Becky is back to Blighty. She's such a creative person. She knits, she crochets, she paints, she weaves, she spins, she roller skates, she vlogs. She's amazing. And we met up at Christmas, and she dyed me she dyes yarn. And she dyed me my very own colourway, and it's called This Little Wonderful Christmas. And it's so beautiful, and I knit a pair of socks with it, and I made up the pattern on it. And at the time I thought, well, this is naff. And then I was wearing them the other day, and I was like, God, I really like these socks. What pattern was this? And I realised that it was mine. It's not like anything, obviously it's not a sock pattern, it's just the stitch pattern, the texture pattern. So if I get time, I might write it up. I might, not a sock pattern, but just what I did to get the stitch pattern and put it on my blog or something. I don't think I'd know how to write a sock pattern. So I'm just making Shorty Socks with the leftover yarn, as I had plenty left to do Shorty Socks. So there's not a lot to say about them yet, because I haven't done anything since last time. They look lovely. They're going to be fabulous Christmas socks, and I'll probably give them to Lilia because she loves hand knit Shorty Socks. But I've made no progress on those. I've just realised I do have one finished object, but I'm going to talk to you about that when I talk about Skillshare, because it's super exciting. It's a brand new craft to me, and I'm a little bit obsessed with it now. So I do have a finished thing, but you'll have to wait and see. The other project that I've done no work on, but I just want to mention quickly, is Living in My Bag here by Linda. It's so gorgeous, this bag. It's got this thistle tartan print, and I love the fact that it's got the handles as well as the drawstring. Love this bag. And in here I have got a yarn called Burlesque. It is by the Knitting Swede, and I am making the V-neck the V-back tee by Jamie Hoffman, which looks like this, but I'm making mine just in one colour, in the red Burlesque. And I've made no progress on it whatsoever. We're having my friend Sarah and I are having a little mini knit along, making this together. Sarah is the lady that was with me when we went to the Waltham Abbey Wool Show. She was in the Waltham Abbey Wool Show vlog that I did a few videos back on this channel. She's absolutely lovely. She's got a gorgeous channel, a lovely podcast. She's such a lovely person, and she's a quicker knitter because she's far more ahead than I am, which is this. I just want to show you my stitch markers because you see them. They are Hamilton stitch markers, and this is very exciting because we're going to go and see Hamilton this Wednesday. Today is Sunday, so in 3 days we are going to the West End of London. We're going to the Victoria Palace Theatre, and we are seeing the West End production of Hamilton, me, Dad and the girls. I can't even talk about it because we are so excited. I cannot begin to tell you. We are such big Hamilton fans. It's a real treat. Okay, let's calm myself down by talking about some patterns. This is a new section that I started a couple of episodes ago because I realised that I get bought patterns or sent them as gifts, or I spot them, or someone lets me know about a pattern, and I've got all these things swimming around in my head, or I save them on Ravelry, and I think, well, I don't have time to make these right now. But other people might, and I just want to talk about them because there are so many good patterns out there that are catching my eye, and I don't want them to just pass by without mentioning them. I need to blow my nose. Okay, that's done. So the first pattern I'm going to message all the designers. I'm hoping they all say it's okay for me to use their photos. The first one is by Ina of Mama's Teddy Bear. She has designed the airmail vest. It's just such a beautifully simple pattern. I love her patterns. She always uses the most gorgeous yarn, the most lovely photographs. She's just got such a lovely aesthetic. I've only ever made one of her patterns, but I have so many of her patterns lined up that I want to try. And this is one of them. She's done the design for Pearl Soho, so you can buy it via the Pearl Soho website. Like I say, it's called the Airmail vest, and it's called the Airmail vest because of the sides. They kind of overlap like an envelope. It's lovely. I just love how simple it is and how wearable it looks. And the next pattern that caught my eye is called the Bell-Walled Hat. It's a free pattern by Esther at Studio Madeleine. It's actually a crochet hat, but it has a knit look to it, which I thought was really interesting. It's like I say, it's a free pattern on her website. I will link all of these below, by the way. And it just really caught my eye. It was someone on Instagram that sent me a link to it saying, have you seen this? And I was like, oh. So I've got that open on my iPhone thinking, right, I'd like to make that. I might look at kind of what yarn I've got. I'm not sure what the weight of yarn is for it, but it's beautiful. Another one I was going to talk about last time, but didn't, and it's a jumper on the Seardar website. So Phoebe bought a jumper recently in New Look. And I posted a picture of it in my Instagram story saying, oh, I reckon I could make that, ha ha ha. And someone sent me a pattern saying, actually, on the Seardar website, there's one that's very similar to that. It is pattern number 10196, the lace chevron sweater. It's £3.15. And as you can see, it is really similar to the one we saw in New Look. And I just thought it was really, really lovely. So I wanted to share that because it looks like a lovely pattern, very reasonably priced. And finally, I just wanted to get an amigurumi pattern in here. Alyssa of Anea's Toy Box, she shared fairly recently on her Instagram her Droplet the mermaid, and she had done it with slightly different hair to the pattern that's on her Ravelry, and it was so cute, and it's such a lovely, effective looking little mermaid. I just think it's such a lovely looking pattern. So I wanted to share that as well, because you've got to have a bit of amigurumi in there as well. So those are the patterns that have caught my eye over the past few weeks. Shall we move on? What should we move on to? Let's talk about Skillshare. Let's talk about Bruno. Has anyone else been made to watch that about 100 times? Not that I'm complaining, it is good. I am talking about Encanto, in case anybody doesn't know. Okay, Skillshare, don't flick forward. Someone said that a lot of people have been sponsored by Skillshare lately, so they just fast forward this bit. Do not, because you're going to miss something really exciting that I've learned. So this video is sponsored by Skillshare, and my plan was, when I started this collaboration with them, was to use the platform to learn a new crafty creative skill every time I spoke about them. And that's exactly what I've done this time. I'm so excited to show you. You're going to look at it and be like, what? So Skillshare is an online learning community. It's completely ad-free and it's full of thousands of videos, brilliant for anyone who loves to learn new things or improve existing skills. There's everything on there from photography, illustration, mindfulness, how to use things like Procreate and Photoshop, and of course knitting and crochet. There's embroidery, there's art, sewing, plant care, whatever you fancy learning, you will find classes on Skillshare to help you. And like I say, it's completely ad-free. Last time I did meditative doodling, and I know lots of you out there gave it a go and you've messaged me or shared it with me on Instagram to show me, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm so glad I did that class. I do it when I'm on the phone, when I'm in a meeting, just when I'm sitting watching the telly, and I just feel like I've found this new thing, this excuse to doodle and have fun, and I'm so glad that I did that class, and I'm really pleased to hear that some of you are enjoying it too. There was a small error with the link last time on Skillshare's part. It was saying that you would only get 1 week free trial, but actually it's a month. They have rectified that now. So if you hop down into my description box, the first 1,000 people to use the link that's in my description box or my new unique code, Little Drops of Wonderful, will get a 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So hop on down there and take full advantage of it. And I am now going to share with you what I learnt this week, or the last couple of weeks, and that's needlepoint. So I did a class with, what was her name? Floor Giebels. She is an embroidery artist in the Netherlands. I will leave her details underneath. Her Instagram is incredible. She does amazing embroidery with 3D, like the backs of people's heads with 3D hair. Oh, amazing. But the class I did was an introduction to needlepoint, relax and stitch. It's a complete beginner thing, and I did it because I'd saved it as a possible class I could talk about as part of my collaboration with Skillshare. And then Phoebe had a big clear out of her bedroom, and she was getting rid of these plastic canvases that were with a child's kind of cross-stitch kit, and she only had the canvases left, everything else she'd used. And I was like, oh, I could use that to do the needlepoint. And then when I went to watch the video, it said the materials that she was using, the canvas she was using was 7 holes per inch for the beginners project, and that's what the canvas was. So those 2 signs were enough for me. I was like, right, that's it. The universe is telling me needlepoint is the way to go. So I grabbed some leftover acrylic yarn, because it needs to be quite thick yarn for this particular lesson that I had from a previous project. You know, even if I hadn't had it, I would have just doubled up on thinner yarn. And I got my plastic canvas and I followed her class, and I have made a needlepoint project. And I have been obsessively working on this over the past 2 days, and now it's finished. I'm really disappointed, and I was online last night trying to work out where to buy more of this canvas. It's just so addictive. Here's my thing. This is my finished needlepoint thing. So it's a really basic, there's a PDF with 3 different patterns, and this is the first one, and I'm going to do the other ones as well once I've got more canvas. And I couldn't be more pleased with this. It's so cool. It's just a basic straight stitch, and I don't know if you can see as well that some of the stitches are slightly shorter, and that is because I had to adapt it slightly because the canvas actually had holes in it. So I had to adapt it so that the stitches were worked over the holes and covered them rather into the holes, and, you know, messed about with the pattern, if that makes sense. I was quite chuffed with myself that I worked out how to do it. And then you do a little border all the way around, so you no longer see the plastic. And I have a needlepoint thing. I don't know what it's for or what it is, but I love it. I'm going to put it here. Ta-da! Not only that, but Phoebe, my youngest daughter, who's 11, she saw me doing this, and there was another square. So she came along and said, oh, will you show me what you're doing? So I showed her the first row, and then she just went off and did this all by herself. She hasn't finished hers yet. Isn't that amazing? And the variegated one is actually a hand-dyed yarn. She's held it triple. Isn't that amazing? She's 11 years old and she has been equally absorbed in this. So we were both really taken with this as a project. I would like to make something like a cushion, but when I went to have a look for kits, they're all really expensive. So what I would like to do is make my own design, use my own yarn that I've already got a ton of, and just find the canvas. So if anyone's into needlepoint and they know where I can buy different weights and types of canvas, not just the plastic, let me know in the comments, because this is not over. Me and needlepoint are not over. Why am I taking that down? I'm going to leave it up. I was going to put it back in the bag, but it's going to stay there. So yeah, I can't wait to decide what I'm going to learn next, if I can put the needlepoint down for long enough to learn something new. So like I said, go down into my description box. The first 1,000 people to use the link or my code, Little Drops of Wonderful, will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. It's ad-free, so you're uninterrupted whilst you're exploring all the goodness on there. And there are new premium classes launched each week, and the entire catalogue is now available with subtitles, I believe, in Spanish, French, German and Portuguese. All the links and everything you need to know are in the description box underneath. Let me know if you try needlepoint. It's so addictive. Do you already do it? And are you already addicted? Honestly, it's like doodling or painting, but with yarn. I love it. Calm down. I'm getting all unnecessarily overexcited, and I also think I'm racing through this at 100 miles an hour because I know that I'm having to film it again. And breathe. Should we talk about some incoming? First of all, there's not a lot to show you with this actually. It's just 3 packets. But I wanted to tell you, I have treated myself to the first instalment of Green Lambkin Yarns Advent. So she does this throughout the year. She launched every 3 months, she does it. So you can buy 3 of your Advent yarns. So by the time you get to December, you've got 24. Is that right? Yes. To open throughout the month of December. And the theme is festive music this year. Or festive, oh, I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's like, yeah, Christmassy music is the theme. So I got my first 3 of those. I need to look out now for the next one, but just in case you're interested, because Advents are expensive, and to split it like that, just pay monthly and get them so you can put them away, just feels really affordable. It's a really good idea. So that's one of the things I've had incoming. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I'm going to show you one more thing, but I'm sure I'm forgetting something else. So I haven't checked if it's okay to say the viewer's name, so I won't. But a lovely viewer got in touch and asked if they could send me something. And she sent me, well, I'll show you. Now I'm going to learn my lessons from when I originally filmed this podcast. I spent about 10 minutes dropping these. So I'm just going to show them to you 2 at a time. Learn from my mistakes. They are crochet. They are little skeins of crochet thread. It's Coats Chain Mercer Crochet 10. So I've got this beige one and a variegated orangey gold one. I've got a mint green and a white, and I've got a yellow and a variegated pink. They're so pretty. I love working, well, I am going to attempt to hold them all up. This didn't go well. There you go. I did it without dropping them. Well, they look amazing, don't they? So these have been in her parents' house since her grandmother died in 1987, which is quite amazing. And they've been having a bit of a clear out. And she said, you know, I'm not going to use them. I'm hoping you might be able to make use of them, and I will be able to. I love working with crochet thread. I haven't done a minute crochet thread project in quite a while. I use them for covering glass jars, such as here. It's like one of these little dessert dish jars. I cover them with like a lace weight, and you can put like in a candle, or in this case I've got seagulls. Or I use them to do, you know, round a pebble, like freestyle crochet round a like a stone or a pebble to create something decorative. And there are loads of other things, doilies and other things that you can do with crochet thread. So I'm really inspired to start looking at what I can do with those and have a think about something different I could do. Maybe I should do something to celebrate the 80s, seeing as they've been around since 1987. I don't know, but thank you for passing that on to me, because it's obviously quite precious that it's been in your family for that long and that you've passed it to me to be trusted to find a good use for it, and I promise you that I will, so thank you. Yeah. Now, in the absence of finished objects, and because we've been having a continued clear out of the house, I unearthed some blankets yesterday. And I was going to film this podcast yesterday, but I was really not feeling very well at all. It ended up being a bit of a lost day, and I ended up doing a bit of sorting out up here in the bedroom, just so I could feel like I'd done something productive. And I unearthed some blankets that I made in my earlier crochet days, and I thought, oh, I'm going to share those. So I've got 3 blankets, blasts from the past, that I'm going to show you. The first one comes with a warning. Just generally, you have been warned. It's not subtle. It may cause alarm in some viewers. Are you ready? Meet the Groovy Gan. This is one of my earliest crochet endeavours. It's all in acrylic yarn of the brightest proportions. It's called the Groovy Gan. It's impossible to, I mean, I'd need to stand right back, I think, wouldn't I, and push the camera. I wonder if I can get far enough back to show it to you in its full glory. Not really. Does anyone really want to see it in its full glory? I'm not sure. So this is the Groovy Gown. It is by Tracy Pippinish. It's £4.80 on Ravelry. Still available. If you go and have a look, many people have made it. They've done their own colour combinations and versions. There are some absolutely beautiful versions of it. This does not fall into the beautiful camp. I think this falls into the slightly trippy psychedelic camp. But I love it. It's so funny. Actually showing you the back there, this is the front. It's just so funny. It's just completely bonkers. Everything about it is insane. And I love it. So that's one blast from the past. This has got to work its way into the thumbnail somehow, hasn't it? Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to watch a video with someone holding this up? I don't know if I'll manage that, but I shall try. The next one is slightly more subdued in colour. We've gone from psychedelic brights to brown. This is the Colour Bar Blanket by Kat Mazza. It's a pattern from the book The Happy Hooker by Debbie Stoller, I think is her name. Her and Attic24 taught me how to crochet. I used the Happy Hooker book to learn all my stitches. And this is the Colour Bar pattern from that book. This way up. And I just basically needed to use up some yarn, and I made it in colours that Dan likes, because he likes greens and greys and blues and browns. So at the time I just made him this Colour Bar blanket. Didn't really think this through, did I? I haven't got enough room to show you, because these are all quite big. So you can see at the bottom there, as I'm trying to hold it up and tiptoe, not fall over, that I've just been using. Basically you make the squares and then you put them all together. I've attached them all with single crochet using grey, which I really like the look of actually. So this was for Dan, but we never really use it just because it doesn't really go with our colour scheme or anything. It just doesn't go with anything. So it's been in a box for a while, but we will use it, I'm sure, in the future. And I really like it, and it's worn very well, probably because it's not been used much. So that's another blast from the past. Oh. And then finally, the most impractical blanket I've ever made. It's a baby blanket, which I made when I was pregnant with Phoebe. And it was for Phoebe, and I made it in 100% really fuzzy, itchy, pure wool that can only be hand washed and is really heavy. What was I thinking? I have got some good pictures of her on the blanket when she was a baby. And it is the Lil Monkey blanket by Carmen Watkins, again from the Happy Hooker book, and there was a matching hat which I also made. And it's based on sock monkeys. So traditionally the sock monkey would be, I think, brown and red, isn't it? Brown and red. But I went for grey and pink instead. And I really do like the colours, the colour combination, the cream and the grey and that lovely dusky pink. It's just so impractical as a blanket for anyone, let alone a baby. You can't machine wash it. It's fuzzy. It picks up things, you know, so even using it as a mat for playing on the floor wasn't practical. So, but I like it. It's just, I don't know what to do with it really. I don't know. The yarn was really expensive as well. Honestly, I look back at my former decisions and think, what was I doing? So those are my blasts from the past. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting. I've talked about the Dodgy Bag MAL, haven't I? Well, I've got a few more things to mop up in, and finally, we need to talk about purple yarn. This purple yarn, I will show you. It's gorgeous. It's by Needle and Thread, sorry, as in the name. There we go. Needle and Thread. It is merino singles. There's no colourway name. It says single ply twist, amazing for shawls. It's 100% merino and it's gorgeous. And along with it, I have a perfectly matching little posh hand cream from Marks and Spencer's. Lavender. There we go. And this I've been trying to give away for months, and every time the winner does not get in touch with me and I draw a new winner and then they haven't got in touch with me. So we're going to start again. Here's what we're going to do. In the comments, if you were interested in winning, include the phrase purple yarn. I will draw a winner just before I film the next podcast in about 3 weeks time. Only comment if you intend to watch episode 87 and see if you've won. Because otherwise I just keep drawing winners and no one gets in touch with me and it makes me feel sad and unloved. So yeah, make sure you include the term purple yarn in your comment. Obviously don't just say purple yarn, include it in your overall comment, and then I'll be able to know that you're interested in winning. I'm just kicking the box of prizes back under the bed. There we go. And make sure you watch episode 87. I will draw the winner and you'll have until the episode after that to get in touch with me before I know whether or not if that makes sense. So I won't try to over explain it, but you've got plenty of time to get in touch with me after I announce the winner. Make sure you watch episode 87 if you have entered. Okay, we're going to try again. We will give away this yarn. I also wanted to mention finally a podcast. So it's a long story, but I was out shopping and I got chatting to a bloke in a shop because I was using my business debit card. And obviously my business name is quite unusual, Little Drops Are Wonderful. And he asked me, what kind of business do you have? And I explained that I did YouTube. And he had some questions for me because he has a podcast on YouTube, which is slowly taking off basically. And he does it as a way of raising awareness and connecting people together. And he does interviews with military veterans. It's called the Military Veterans Podcast. He himself is a military veteran and it's so lovely what he's doing. And I know many of you have relatives who are in the military or you've been in the military yourself, and this could be really relevant to you and you might enjoy it. It's audio, but he also films it so you can watch the video of it as well. The first episode is all about him. I've listened to it, it's really good. And he just needs a bit of a shout out, I think. I think he deserves it. And it's called the Military Veterans Podcast. Here's all the details, including everywhere where you can listen. So you can listen on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, and on Google Podcasts as well. He's on Twitter, Patreon, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And he's even got one of them little scanny things. So I don't know if this will work. If you pause it and scan it, it might do. I'll hold it up so you can pause it. There you go. So that's everywhere you can find him. And I'll put a link to the YouTube one below as well. And I just wanted to give him a shout out. He was such a lovely guy. And yeah, what he's doing is a really good thing. And by the way, the interviews he does are not just with UK military veterans, they're with American and elsewhere around the world as well. And what else did I want to say? Don't forget April vlogs. I'm just going to put this down. Every day throughout April, I am releasing a new daily vlog. They're about daily life, what we're doing. It's the Easter holidays at the moment, so there's going to be our trip to London to see Hamilton. We're hoping to go to a castle tomorrow. It's been birthdays and daily life stuff up until this point. I'll be filming today once I've stopped filming this 100 times. So don't forget to drop in over there. And just to say as well, which I always forget to say, don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Hitting like tells YouTube that you're enjoying the time you're spending on YouTube because of my video, and it helps get it recommended to more people and seen by more people, and that helps my channel to grow, which is what I would really like. So hitting like and subscribe really, really do help me in the algorithm. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to tidy all of this up for a second time. I hope it all makes sense when I go to edit it, and I hope it's in focus this time. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to lie down in a darkened room and cry. And until next time, happy knitting, happy crocheting, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.